All right, welcome into another episode of the News4JAGs podcast. Jamal St here alongside Justin Barney. Justin, 15 days through training camp, and this one was I don't want to say a good one.
It was not.
But it was a scrimmage style practice, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it was not a good practice.
Much different look than a traditional training camp day. It's, usually individual drills, team drills, but we saw a full-on scrimmage today, really 3/4 of a scrimmage, and not the cleanest of days offensively. I listening to Trevor Lawrence's press conference after camp, and he said, hearing his voice, he was not happy with how today went. A lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of penalties elsewhere, a lot of drops, 6 or 7 drops by receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., a couple of those today as well. So really not a clean day at all for the offense.
Yeah, look, it was a rough day. I talked to Jordan Lewis after practice. He wasn't enthused with their performance either. Basically said that they started really slow. They did pick it up a little bit later on throughout the scrimmage period. Defense, a couple of solid plays, but I think it was more just sloppy on both sides. A lot of drop passes.
A lot of drop passes. To me, that was the story of the day. And after the preseason game, they worked really on cadence and pre-snap and everything along those lines to get that offensive line in sync, and it's still not quite there. Trevor Lawrence was alluding to that today in the post-practice availability, that they're just not quite there. They've cleaned up some stuff from that preseason game, but there's still so much left to work on.
Yeah, a lot of work left to go. This was not one that they're going to write home about or they're going to be too pleased about, but look, we'll see how all of this. Tomorrow's practice is going to be the last one before the game against the Saints. That one going to be a little bit winded down. A little bit more of your regular season Friday kind of practice rather than a cranked up scrimmage style practice. So this was probably the most intense part of the week for them. And it didn't go great. There were a handful of sacks, so you love to see a guy like Danny Strigao, undrafted free agent. We talked to him earlier this week, come up with a couple of sacks during team. That's good. Trying to think about who else maybe did something that you're like, okay.
Darius Lasser, to me, receiver, went over the middle for a diving catch, came up a little bit ginger, walked off the field, and then later on in practice had an unbelievable catch on the sideline too. So he had some really good plays. Again, a guy very much down that depth chart, fighting to make it, probably going to make it on special teams if he does make that 53, but really good guy. Today, probably one of the only guys who made a big standout offensive play. Really not a good.
Tootin had a couple of decent plays, and then there was a little scrap between him and Jarian Jones. Jarian Jones throws a little punch in there, but they ultimately broke it up, and it was good. But Tootin, every time you get him in space, and like if they give this dude a crease and he decides he wants to go, he goes now.
He does. He's quick.
Yeah.
He is quick. And the thing I like about these Jaguars drafted running backs, they got some spunk to them. LaQuint Allen, we've seen him getting a little bit of tenacity in camp, and then Bashal Tootin today, Jarian Jones kind of slapped him in the face after the play, and Bashal went right back after him. So good to see that fire in camp. Anthony Campanile talked about it a couple days ago after practice, and it's good to see. You don't want that in a game.
No.
But you do like to see that tenacity from these players in camp. Dog days of camp are here. You're fighting for roster spots, and still good to see that.
Yeah, look, you want to see that. You want to see that, and you want to see clean practices, especially this time of year as we kind of get closer to the start of the regular season. Not a clean one. I don't know that there's a whole lot positive you want to write home from this thing. I don't know that there's my biggest negative is that the reserve offensive line, man.
Bad.
That's rough. The reserve offensive line, like once you get past maybe your
sixth guy,
maybe 7, because Fred Johnson's, I'm fine with Fred. Fred's looked okay. Chuma Edoga looks okay. Like, so that you got about 7 guys where I'm like, okay. I know Wyatt Milam's been.
Yeah, he's another one.
So maybe 8. So 8 guys. But once you start fielding that second offensive line, and this isn't like a shot at Monheim, but some of those other guys that I don't think are going to be on the roster, like a Sal Wormley has struggled, Devon Foster has really struggled. Those guys have been getting cooked a little bit on the inside.
And that's not surprising. Javon Foster was getting cooked last year. And the offensive line, again, not really a strength of the team. Anton Harrison, first play of the scrimmage today, came up ginger. I was supposed to talk to him after camp. I did not talk to him because he was left injured from that. So if that lingers on any kind of distance, then you're wondering, okay, with this offensive line not going into week 1 full strength, and it's already a little bit average to maybe even below average. So got some questions in the offensive line.
Yeah, they rotated Fred Johnson and Wyatt Milam after Anton got hurt, so that's something worth monitoring. All right, one thing, and we'll wrap up the podcast here. Okay, so I talked to Jordan Lewis after practice, mentioned that he talked about loving competing and liking that the guys play with a little swag and get them going and talking a little trash. But I asked him about the pass rush because Josh Hines-Allen was yelling to him, hey, say something nice about me. So he dropped that Josh Hines-Allen is going to definitely be going after that Defensive Player of the Year award.
Okay.
Would you take the bet? Do you think you can get it done?
No, absolutely not. I don't have.
That was the quickest no.
I don't
think. Ponder.
And 41 is my man. I've been riding with Josh for a little bit of time. You've been Trayvon. I've been Josh.
Yeah.
But I think it's. Let me preface that by saying I think he needs a lot more help from his interior defensive line, and we just haven't seen that yet. Hey, if Eric Armstead's full strength and a full go, and Mason Smith kind of continues that ascent, Devon Hamilton turns it on, maybe he can do that. But Josh, to me, has just been too hot and cold. I do think he's going to have a good year. I think being lighter, I think Trayvon is going to have a breakout year. But I think Josh competing for any kind of award like that is really contingent on the help he gets from up front and in the back, in the secondary.
Fair enough. Okay, and since you were talking about the other defensive line guys, that reminded me Mason Smith.
He's back.
Activated off the PUP list. He was back on the field, didn't participate in the scrimmage, but was out there for individual drills and at least on the active roster now, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the News4JAGs podcast. You want more Jaguars coverage, just head over to news4jags.com, click on the Handy Dandy Sports page, and we'll see you guys next time.